Us now, Doug Flynn, certified financial planner and co-founder of Flynn Zito Capital Management. Good to see you again, Doug. You know, there was this Yahoo Finance headline said, could market volatility already be turning up in 2024? We're only a couple days in. I mean, do you think we should be concerned at this point?
I think increased volatility is something that is likely. We had a decent amount of it, but not above average last year. So I think that turning it up a little bit makes sense. I mean, you look at the top 7 stocks in the market, they are basically up last year anywhere from 50 to over 200%. So what went up the most is kind of coming down a bit. And they represent more than a quarter of the entire market. So it makes sense that they're going to pull things down a little bit, and some people are just taking some profit. So a little bit of volatility is not necessarily a bad thing, especially if that got away from you and you're looking for a better point in which to get in for the long term.
There's another interesting stat we wanted to ask you about that we noticed today coming out of Manhattan. All cash home sales have now hit a record high. It's actually happening down south where I live in the Miami area. So more people buying their houses with cash, which, man, wouldn't that be nice? But what yeah, I mean, come on. But what does that mean? Like, what does that mean overall? What is that telling us, that especially in Manhattan?
Yeah. Well, I think, you know, the average is around 50% of people pay cash. And that seems foreign. But it's, first of all, it's the ultra wealthy. And second of all, it's people that might be downsizing. They had a house for a long time and they're selling that house. They got all the money. They're paying cash. But the reason I think it's gone up from normally about 50% to basically 2/3 right now is because interest rates got up so high that a lot of the people that would be using financing sort of stepped away. So the people that pay cash don't care what rates are. They're going to buy a house no matter what the rate is because they're not borrowing. They're just paying cash. So as a percentage of the total sales, they became a larger percentage. I think that now that rates have come off a bit, rates were as high as 8%. They're now around 6.7, 6.8% for a mortgage. You'll see more people financing, and that percentage will come down a little bit. So it is high, but it's just because the cash people, they have money, they do what they want.
Yeah, those cash people. I mean, that's a crazy stat, what you just said. 2/3 of people in Manhattan are buying with cash. It's a lot of rich people, and a lot of other people have to pay those high rents. That's crazy. Another interesting headline: Tesla delivered a record Q4 with cars, but China's BYD has now taken the lead as the top EV maker. So Tesla's basically lost their crown, lost their place on top. Does this come as a surprise? Because I feel like I'm seeing more Teslas all over the place.
Well, BYD doesn't sell any cars in the U.S. per se, and in China, their entry-level car goes for about $10,000, and it goes as fast as 81 miles per hour, where the cheapest Tesla is $32,000. So I think a lot of this is a cheaper car, a much bigger audience over there that they're selling. Tesla's the number 2. They only overtook Tesla this last quarter. For the last year, Tesla still outsold them. But the tide is turning, and it's very likely that they're going to continue to outsell them because they have a $10,000 entry point for a vehicle, and we don't have anything like that at all. And interestingly to me, Tesla actually uses some of BYD's batteries in their plant in Germany. So it's sort of an interesting relationship, but it wouldn't surprise me if this trend continues over there.
So there's this Chinese electric car is $10,000. I mean, do you think Tesla could have a lower price point? I think theirs starts in like 40s, right? For that Model 3, high 40s.
Yeah, the very basic one over here does. But yeah, you're right. I think they've lowered their prices a lot, Tesla, but I don't think anyone can make a $10,000 vehicle over here. Yeah. So I don't see that happening per se. And the craziest part about this whole thing about BYD to me is in 2008, Warren Buffett invested about $230 million for a 10% stake. That is now worth $2.5 billion. He sold off about 2%. Yeah, so he timed that right, got in well, and now is actually unwielding that because he's made so much money. But that's the trend. That's where things are going. This company over there, and a lot of companies that can cater to well over 1 billion people, certainly can sell a lot more than we do.
Yeah, and I've done stories. It's interesting. These electric vehicle batteries, they've got ties to China all over the place. I mean, a lot of the patents are owned by China. They make the batteries. Even if you think you're buying an American car, you Google it and you realize, you know, it's made. I was just interested in a car that I thought was made another place, and then I realized, no, it's made in China.
Yeah, last point with BYD is they actually make the batteries and the cars, where nobody here does that, and nobody in Europe does that.
Yeah.
We're relying on China for the batteries. So they have a distinct advantage, and they have a much lower price point.
Okay, last topic here. This is a big one. A lot of people talking about Mickey Mouse now entering the public domain. Maybe you can explain this to me. Steamboat Willie horror film announced as Mickey Mouse. I mean, they've got these, I saw these scary videos the other day of like Mickey. It was so like disturbing. Mickey as like a monster. What is happening?
So what happened was the original Mickey Mouse cartoon from 1928 has come into the public domain. There he is right there. But the interesting thing about this is he doesn't have the hands. It's not the Mickey we know and love today. It's the Mickey from only that film. So they can do what they want with Mickey, but they can't, you can't open up a Mickey Mouse restaurant. What's really interesting is, and that's because of the trademarks that are still in place. So Winnie the Pooh came off 2 years ago, and they did come out with a slasher Winnie the Pooh film because that went into the public domain. But the interesting thing about this one is it's only that version of Mickey Mouse that they can use, and you can edit and you can do stuff with it. But you can't use the more current version that, is the plush toy and that we all kind of know and love.
Makes sense. And I like hearing you talk about Winnie the Pooh. I bet you never thought you were going to be a Winnie the Pooh expert here on NewsNation, but
definitely not.
But you helped us understand. All right, Doug, thanks so much for coming on. We appreciate it.